Hello, dragons. Today I'd like to give you a little bit of extra in the math department. And since we're working with shapes and you're starting to draw them onto grids, I thought we would look into something called a coordinate plane. And this is a coordinate plane. Now, there are some things on here that you're not going to see till 4th and 5th grade, but I kind of thought we could go over it anyway because I know you can understand the basics. A coordinate plane has two lines that cross perpendicular to each other, and you can see these two lines are in orange. We have the x-axis, and that is this line going across this way. And yes, we have a y-axis, and that is the one going up and down. You'll notice where they cross, where they intersect, is right here. It's perpendicular again, so they're making right angles. And where it crosses is known as the origin. I put it right here, origin. Now, we label different spaces on the coordinate plane, plane because it's flat, just like we did plane geometry. And we label different places on here based on where they fall on the x-axis and the y-axis. And you will start to see coordinates that look like this. 3, 5. That is not telling you to add, subtract, multiply, divide. It is just telling you where to put the point. Now, the question is, there's a lot of 3s and there's a lot of 5s on this board. You can see that we have positive numbers going on the x-axis. We have positive numbers going up on the y-axis. And we actually have negative numbers here as well. The negative numbers fall below 0 on the y-axis. And we have negative numbers below 0 on the x-axis. So right now we are going to be looking at space in here, in this part of the coordinate plane, in this quadrant. These two numbers are in a very specific order. Whenever you have a coordinate plane, we have our two numbers. They are always listed as x and then y. The x number is first, the y number is second. And we always run the x number first. And a way to remember that is the x number is the horizontal axis. This one right here, this horizontal axis. And the way I like to teach it is you have to learn to walk before we jump and learn to fly. So you must learn to walk before you can fly. That will help you learn that you need to do the x number first and then the y number in the coordinate. So if I'm looking to place a dot at the 3, 5, I need to start at the origin every single time. I'm going to start at the origin and go 3. 1, 2, 3. I am now at the 3 on the x-axis. So if I put this below this, you'll see x, y, 3x. 1, 2, 3, that puts me right here. And now I need to go 5 up on the y. So I'm going to go 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. My dot goes right here. This 3, 5, I went over 1, 2, 3, because x first, got to walk before you can fly. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would be labeled 3, 5. That would be taking a look at this grid board. Where would you find for me to put, I'll just erase that part, where would I put 8, 2? Take a look at it. 8, 2. All right, well, 8 is my x, so I would start at 0, 0, always starting at the origin, and I would go over 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I would go up 2, 1, 2. This would be 8, 2. Let's try a couple more. What if I decided to go for this one, 3, 2. 3, 2. Remember, we do our x-axis first and then our y-axis. We would go, starting at the origin, we would go over 3, 1, 2, 3, and we would go up 2, 1, 2, and place a dot. And this would be 3, 2. And let's do one more. Let's try this one. 6, 5. Make that better. 6. 6, 5. Where would 6, 5 go? Okay. Let's go over 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we are. 6, 5. Now there are ways we could put this together. If I had you do it in order of what we just did, it would come out a little confusing. But if we connect these lines, you will notice we have made a trapezoid. Our trapezoid has 2 parallel lines, 1 pair, 2 lines that are parallel, and we have 2 lines that are not parallel, but we have 4 sides, so we have a quadrilateral, and you have drawn on a coordinate grid. Now, as you get going into 4th and 5th grade, especially 5th, you will notice that there are negative numbers, and it works the same way. So I will at least show you how that looks. X-axis is still first all the time, and then Y. But if I had something like, how about we had, let's try 3, negative 6. We would start at the origin. We would go over 3, 1, 2, 3. And in this case, the y-axis is negative 6. So we would be at the 3 and we would go down negative 6. If we go up, we're in positive. So we would be at 3 going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be the point 3, negative 6. I'm just going to erase that and put it right there. There's your new point. This allows us to go in all 4 quadrants. If I have one back over here, let's see if you can name this one. I'm going to put a dot right here. Can you name that one? This dot right there. This would be negative 3, 8. If you said 8, negative 3, you were close. But remember, x-axis first. How far did we go over? We had to move over on the x-axis first. That's why it's negative 3. If you went up and over, then you did the y-axis before the x-axis. But we always do x-axis first, and then we do the y-axis. And this one, both numbers would be negative. Now there's one last thing I want to show you on here because it does get a little confusing. I'm going to erase our pictures and I'm going to keep our coordinate grid there. And I will keep the X, Y here just to help you out. But sometimes we get a 0 in our coordinate grid. We get something like 4, 0. And just because we have a 0, we can still use it. But really, you don't see a 0 on here. I see 1, 2, 3s, I see negatives, and I see a 0, 0 here in the middle. But what does that mean? Well, it means this line, the x-axis and the y-axis are the zeros. Because if you look carefully here, this is the 1. 1 is this line right here. That's all the 1. Here is the 2. Here is the 3. Here's the -1. Here's the -2. But where's 0? Oh, 0 is the axis itself. So that is where we would have a 0 on our coordinate plane. So if we needed to put something at 4, 0, this is still x and this is still y. Now this is the tricky part. We're going to count over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to go up or down 0. Oh, so we're going to put our dot right there on the x-axis. Now I know you're thinking, Mr. Warner, the 0 is on the y. The 0 is on the x-axis, but it's showing how far up or down on the y-axis we would go. So how far are we going up or down on the y-axis? We're not. We're staying at 0. So we still go over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, because that's x. And for the y, going up and down, we don't go anywhere. We stay right on the line. The same would happen as if we had an opposite one. If we had 0, 7, start here and go nowhere. Okay, I can't go left or right because the x says to go nowhere. So I'm going to stay right here on the x-axis. I'm going to stay right here. And now I'm going to count up 7. My dot will be right here. It's on the y-axis. I know it's a little confusing, but I didn't go anywhere on the x. I didn't go forwards. I didn't go backwards. I stayed right here on the x-axis. It's 0. And then I had to count 7 on the y. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I end up right there. So if you are given things with 0, they are going to be on one of the axes, and that makes it a little more difficult. All right. Well, by learning this, you may get a fun project in which you will be able to try to draw pictures following different places and being to draw from one line to another. You end up with a picture following coordinate grids.